So it looks like we have some traction. $1,400 stimulus checks is on the move, plus $1,400 more per child, and not everyone will qualify, along with some other big news dealing with unemployment. We have so much to talk about, guys. Please, let's jump right in. What is up, you guys? You're Romeo here with Freedom Nation, here to give your stimulus update news on the late night of February 4th. Please stay tuned with me. We're going to show you all the articles and just the facts so we can go straight to it. I want to make this a really quick one so that way you guys can get exactly what you need and what you need to know, which is exactly what the stimulus check is up to right now. Where are we at? Where does it sit? And of course, when are we going to get this money, right? And who's qualified? Because that's another thing that's been changing, is who's qualified. And this has been the topic of conversation between Republicans' proposals and what Biden is actually putting his foot down and where he's compromising. And we're going to be talking about that right now. So to get everyone caught up, a bill can only be reconciled if it affects federal revenue or spending. So, and because this is definitely $1.9 trillion, it definitely deals with spending. This is why this bill is up for reconciliation, or it's eligible to do so. In the past, reconciliation has been used with the Obama's CARE Act and also the sweeping tax cuts in 2017 with former President Trump. And so the question is, how will the budget reconciliation be used for the COVID package? And so Democratic leaders Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, they introduced a budget resolution on Monday, the first of a two-step process that will allow the work of the writing of the coronavirus relief bill in the committees to begin. And so with this process, we know that the first step has been completed and now we're moving on to step two. And this is the budget vote will now clear the way for Democrats to potentially pass their relief bill by late February or March, after the impeachment trial of former President Mr. Donald Trump is completed in the Senate. And we mentioned this before, their plates are kind of full and they have a lot going on in the background, and we have Republicans who are trying to lower the amounts, and we have Biden and Democrats trying to hold steady with what they want in the proposal to actually pass. They are open to bipartisanship, but at this point, there's the pressure of the economy that's steadily growing, because we know that there's a lot of benefits that's going to be ending really soon, coming around February and March, where the unemployment benefits are going to be ending soon. And these things do matter because families and lives, millions of lives, will be affected if this is not fixed. So I understand a sense of urgency and why they want to move. A lot of the Republicans, though, are seeing this as a way of maybe this is not bipartisanship, it's more like partisanship, and they're not extremely happy about the way that the Democrats are moving and kind of flexing their muscles. So as I mentioned before, it says the timetable for the Democrats are looking at for reaching the final package is definitely going to be around mid-March, and it's because once this bill is drafted up, they're going to send it over to the House. The House would have to approve it, and then if there are any changes that are made, like let's say if the Senate decides to amend it, the House's version of the bill, then that means it has to pass to the Senate again and sent over to the House to be approved again before the work of the reconciliation instructions can begin. And that would be the final process, right? And so because of that, there are going to be a lot of hoops that are going to be jumped through, but hopefully it'll be done in a week's time. And I know it sounds very optimistic, me saying that, but I'd rather look things in an optimistic way than pessimistically, because pessimism doesn't really work in your favor here. You're just looking at things from a glass half empty. And so with this being said, because this is what they're saying, and because things are moving steadily fast, and the reason why I believe that this will be passed sooner than later is because, as I mentioned before, there's the enhanced unemployment benefits will be up around that time in March. So it has to be done before then. Something needs to be done before people stop receiving unemployment checks, because then millions of people would not be able to pay their bills. Millions of houses will be, potentially in foreclosure or threatened to be in foreclosure, and it's going to be a really tough position to be in. I know some states, many states, they're still upholding the rule where nobody can be evicted, but the pain is still real for those who are in the situation of not being able to make ends meet. And so before this even happens, they're trying to prevent that. So where do things stand in the Senate? Well, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is still working to shore up the support that he needs to make sure that all 50 votes are there as expected. And of course, if one person drops out on the Democratic side, that could be problematic. And so if we have all 50 votes as expected from the Democratic side, then all we would need is the tie-breaking vote from Vice President Kamala Harris. And he says here, He can't lose one Democrat in his caucus. As I said, every vote counts at this point. And so some of you may be thinking, what are the Republicans saying at this particular time, where it says here, Republicans are frustrated that Democrats are threatening to use the aggressive tactic while bipartisan efforts continue, arguing it would set a partisan tone for the rest of Biden's presidency. And I mentioned this before, and I'll say it again. The Republicans are not happy with this because they deem it to be some form of partisanship, and they're looking for bipartisanship. In my opinion, I think bipartisanship is taking place here. It's just with a sense of urgency that the economy is literally smoking, and where there's smoke, there is fire. And I think many times people are suffering from the not in my backyard syndrome. If you guys ever heard of that, not in my backyard syndrome, where if it's not happening in my backyard, I don't see it. It's not really a big problem to me. But for those of you out there who are watching this right now, who are waiting and depending on these benefits, $1,400 checks for your kids, the SNAP benefits for the nutrition, so you guys can go out there with EBT cards and be able to pay for groceries just to make ends meet. This matters a lot to you, right? So this is why I do these updates for people who are, not wanting to watch all the fluff in the news, and you guys are getting it all here first. And now, guys, on to the stimulus check updates like you've been patiently waiting for. The third stimulus check updates, Democrats could phase out the $1,400 payments at $50,000 per year, and that's if you make that per salary. We'll explain some more. So in an effort to find bipartisan ground with Republican lawmakers, President Joe Biden is looking to make sure that the $1,400 checks do not change as far as amount, but the target audience will change. And in what way? They're looking at drawing up plans to phase out direct payments of the $1,400 checks to those who are making up to $50,000 per year and under. Now, if you guys remember from my last video, I mentioned that number has been changing quite a bit. It started at 150, went down to 120, 100, then it went down to $80,000 per year and below for people who qualify, then $75,000, and now it's at 50, and actual Republicans are saying they want $40,000 per year and below, and that'll be their target margin. And they explain why in certain parts of this article, and I'll show you in a second. So it says here that according to the Washington Post, that would mean $1,400 checks for anyone making less than $50,000 and $2,800 for married couples earning $100,000 or less. If an individual was considered the head of house and earning up to $75,000, he or she would also qualify. Now, if you make more than $50,000 a year, which is the current threshold that's being talked about right now, that would just mean you get smaller checks. What that amount would be, we don't know yet, and we will let you know as soon as we find out. And so the Washington reports saying that parents of children would collect an additional $1,400 per kid. For example, if you're a married couple with 3 children, you will receive up to $7,000, and it's if you qualify on all facets, making under the threshold amount, and you have each child getting $1,400. And you can see here in Biden's defense, he's saying that he does not want to budge from the $1,400 promise to the Americans, but he said he is willing to target the aid, which would mean lowering the income threshold in order for it to qualify. I'm not going to, and this is directly from President Biden, I'm not going to start my administration by breaking a promise to the American people, he said. I mean, he started off with the unifying speech, and that was literally the basis of everything that he based it on upon his, running for president. And now he's at a point where he's making a tough choice between, Republicans telling him like, hey, we need to shoot for people who are making $50,000 or even $40,000 and below, and married couples at $80,000 combined. But he's saying no, and he's wanting to stick with at least or consider strongly the $50,000 and below and $100,000 combined. And so here you can see that it says while Biden is trying to build a bipartisan support from Republicans, he is also prepared to rely on Democratic majority in Congress in order to push things along a little further, as we all know, so that way the package can turn into law. Democrats moved ahead with preliminary steps, including a House budget vote on Wednesday, largely along party lines, to improve it on their own over Republicans' objections. And this is where the Republicans, you can see, are feeling the aggressive movements of Democrats by the way that they're moving around and saying, hey, we're bipartisan, but the way that because they are the majority, essentially the way that they're moving seems very partisan in their eyes. And I know that many of us are hoping for a quick move for this bill to pass, but the truth is, because of the way that discussions are going on right now, again, we mentioned that you guys will see it as early as late February to early March if we come to agreement by next week. And we have a lot of deadlines that are coming up. So like I said, we are looking to push this along very, very fast. And if you haven't realized by now, of course, the package is gonna look a little different. It's not gonna be exactly as President Joe Biden proposed it to be, the $1.9 trillion package being approved for every single person. Of course, there are some compromise that has to be put into place, and this is what's happening right now. And even so, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says, the president fully recognizes the final package may look different than the one that was initially proposed. You know that was coming. She said further, targeting the $1,400 payments, but not the size of the checks, but the income level of the people who will receive them, and that's under discussion currently. And one person in particular who's not happy is Mitch McConnell. Here's what I found pretty funny. As lawmakers in Congress begin drafting up the details, Biden is taking care to politically back up his allies while he's ensuring the final product fulfills his promise for the bold relief to a battered nation, which he says. Senate Republican leader Mr. Mitch McConnell criticized Democrats for pressing ahead largely on their own as the GOP senators try to provide bipartisan alternatives. And quote from Mr. McConnell says, they have chosen totally partisan path. McConnell says, that's unfortunate. Son of a Mitch McConnell. And here's another article from CNBC that I mentioned earlier about showing proof, of course, that, they were talking about the $1,400 per child. It says Democrats are reportedly considering sending the $1,400 payments to individuals earning up to $50,000 and $28,000 to married couples earning to $100,000 plus $1,400 per child. I just want to make sure I show that to you because I promised that I would. And this is according to the Washington Post, of course. That's decreased from the first, where it was initially $75,000, right, as far as the salary cap, and $150,000 for couples, as I mentioned earlier. But of course, we know that this will continually be going back and forth until things are signed and literal votes are made, and we're getting steps closer for that happening. So guys, please stay tuned. I'm going to be giving you as much information as I'm getting, and I don't want you to feel as if though, there's never an answer with these videos. It's just giving you an update and try to get you straight to the source without hearing the extra fluff and the extra noise going on in stock market and everything going on like that, which we can talk about if you guys are interested in hearing that. But let me know down below, do you guys think that it is fair that they're dropping it down from $75,000 for salary to $50,000? Do you think that they should go to $40,000? What are your thoughts, and what do you think is a fair number to cap the salary off? Most of them are saying that anybody who's making above $50,000 or $75,000 are stashing the money or investing it, and meaning that they don't really need it. Meanwhile, in my opinion, because I've known a large amount of people who are in that bracket who are still in need of help, I believe that people in that bracket also should get some aid, and 75 was a fair number. But let me know down below what your thoughts are, and are you tired of waiting? What have you been doing to keep yourself afloat? I'm interested to hear what you guys are going through. I'd love to provide value in some way by showing you some ways you can earn some money online, or ways to create income using the things you currently have. There's so many ways to do so. So here on Freedom Nation, that's what my goal is, and I want to make sure I'm providing the most value for you guys. So if you haven't subscribed and joined the Freedom family already, please do so. Don't forget to hit the bell, because I'm dropping the videos frequently throughout the week, and I want to only update you when things are meant to be updated, when there's an actual change in the progress, and not just giving you the same news every single day. So guys, I appreciate you. I love you. And I'll see you on my next video. Don't forget to like and share this with someone, and check out my other videos. Peace.